For many years, I believed with every bone in my body that something was seriously wrong with me. As a little girl, I felt pretty normal. I did what other little girls did. I played with my Barbies, and I went figure skating, and I played piano, and I had my friends. But as I got older, I started to realize I was a little bit different from the other kids around me, and I didn't know why. For example, I always felt that whenever emotions were involved, I always seemed to feel things more deeply than the kids around me. Things would roll off other kids' backs, but not me. I would take everything to heart. In addition, when kids we would get together and socialize, for them it seems like it was easy and fun, and for me, after a while, I would be so exhausted and so overstimulated that I just wanted to get into a room and close the door and shut off the lights. I was so tired, and I didn't understand it. And then another thing that I noticed that was so interesting to me is that sometimes I would notice that my peers would talk to me and tell me the most personal things, these very incredibly personal things, and talk to me as if I was their counselor. And I didn't understand what that was about. And I didn't understand what that was until I was about 19 in college. And I found this book written by Dr. Elaine Aron called The Highly Sensitive Person. And that book changed everything for me because it made me understand myself so much better. While reading the book, I had so many moments of, aha, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm just highly sensitive. Tonight, I want to share with you what high sensitivity really is, what it means, why it's actually a gift, and how to care for yourself or a loved one if they have high sensitivity as a trait. And given this information, maybe you will see the trait of high sensitivity in yourself, or you may recognize it in someone around you that you love. In either case, I hope that the information and the facts I give to you tonight will shed light on this trait, and that maybe you'll come to see it as a gift as well. So starting out with what is high sensitivity? It's very, very simple. It's not being weak, it's not being too emotional, it's none of that. High sensitivity is actually a physiological thing. It's actually mapped in the brain. People with high sensitivity show different brain imaging than non-sensitives. And what that means is that if you are highly sensitive, you will absorb and take in information 10 times more so than the average person. So what that means for me is that if I walk into a room full of people, I will take in so much information. I will notice the moods of the people around me. I will notice their emotions and sometimes feel other people's emotions. I will notice changes in lighting, temperature changes. I will feel those things. Sometimes it can be so exhausting that it feels not like a gift, it feels like a burden. And there have been many times when I cursed this sensitivity. I said, why, God, why did you make me so sensitive? I hate it. And then later on, I learned about the gifts of it. So now I'd like to move on to the gifts and why it's actually a gift. First of all, some people that come to mind, that famous people that you may not know are highly sensitive, are people like Abraham Lincoln, Eleanor Roosevelt, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and very, very important, Alanis Morissette. And as far as the gift, one of the first gifts that comes to mind is that sensitives are unusually creative. So the artists, the writers, the thinkers of our day tend to be highly sensitive because these are the ones who notice variations, maybe in color, variations in sounds. So that's why you can only imagine a very talented musician will notice very subtle variations in sound. I know my parents were painters. I grew up in a family of artists, and noticing subtleties is something that's very valued in my family. Another gift is that of compassion and deep empathy. So with the gift of high sensitivity, you tend to feel things very deeply. Sensitives are the emotional leaders of the world. They show people that it's okay to have deep feelings, that it's safe. They make it safe for people. So the counselors and the therapists of today's times, not always, but tend to be highly sensitive. And it makes me think, when I was younger why kids would tell me, spill their guts to me, tell me these things, because they picked up. They knew that it was safe to share these with me. Something about them told them that it was safe to share it with me. The other gift is that of deep spirituality. Sensitives have a tendency to have a deep connection to the divine, to God, to a higher power, whatever you call it, but they have that. And I know that I especially had that when I was in college. I realized that it was important for me to have some sort of spiritual practice in my life, and that brought me to study spiritual psychology, which I got a master's in. And so you see that there are gifts, and without sensitives, we wouldn't have the great thinkers, artists, counselors, and visionaries of our day. Now, as far as how to manage sensitivity, I've learned that I have to manage it, or at times it can be overwhelming. So what I've learned is that self-care is incredibly important and crucial. These things are fundamental. Sleep. I know I need to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep to feel like a normal human being, and I'm not even kidding. Another thing, daily meditation. If I just get 5 minutes of meditation in the morning, I feel balanced and centered instead of frazzled and overstimulated. And finally, in addition to meditation and sleep, is exercise, physical exercise. As a sensitive, I take in so much information that I need to release that energy. So physical exercise, I make sure to get an hour at least 4 times a week. And I know that Marco here will be very proud of me. Now, to sum up, I've told you about the trait of high sensitivity. I told you that 15 to 20% of the population actually has high sensitivity, and that all it is a deeper way of processing information. I shared with you the gifts being compassion, creativity, as well as spirituality, and I shared with you self-care routines such as sleep, meditation, as well as physical exercise. And given this information, my only hope is that when you hear the term sensitivity, you consider it a gift. And that anyone around you who is sensitive, may you appreciate them and love them for the sensitive beings that they are. Mr. Toastmaster.